Right, so we're back again after my video. My camera decided to stop working for a little while, probably because it was overheated by the amount of footage I was taking. So we're currently in the village of Towton, and we're heading towards a battlefield. Yeah, this is supposed to be the public footpath to take you on a safe route up the road, but you know, unless we're already stung to death, we are going to have to get on the main road. Right, so finally, here we are at the start. That's a bit of an oxymoron, I don't know what it is. So we are here at Duckers Cross, and we will walk down here, have a look at where it initially kicked off. We'll come back, we will then follow the trail all the way along, and we will then actually head back down here, which is where the river crossing is, and we'll make our way back to where we came from. Here is the memorial, erected in 1929. It looks a lot older, as weathered as it's quite poor state considering it's only, 100 and something years old. So, yeah, here we go. We're gonna just head off to the initial place of contact. Oh my goodness, I don't know if I'm gonna... Might have to go via the road again. Let's go back via the road. It's easier, a bit more dangerous, but it's not busy. There we go. And it's certainly a lot quicker. So a quick tour of the environment. Essentially the battle moved in that direction, starting from down here. So I'm coming off the road because I think this is a good vantage point to show you. This is the landscape in front. Well, obviously. So to the north or the left of the view would have been the Yorkists, and they would have met the Lancastrians coming up from the south over there in a lighter green field. And I think at the bottom of that is, well, the lowest part is probably a ditch or a river course, and then they would have actually started firing their arrows, because they had the prevailing wind behind them, against the Lancastrians. And then the battlefield essentially, or the battle moved across the field from over there, moving over that direction. And then over here, where those trees are, just down there, is an area called Bloody Meadow, where probably the most amount of hand-to-hand fighting and combat took place. Bearing in mind that behind me is where a lot of the archery took place. And that's where I'm going to head off. I'm going to head in the direction of Bloody Meadow, and show you what the terrain looks like over there. Yeah, on our way to Bloody Meadow, as they called it. Beautiful evening walk. So I think you'll see the terrain when we get up to these gates. Is pretty much where it starts. Area with the worst, well, worst is always worse, isn't it? Where the most amount of hand-to-hand combat occurred, and hence its name. The field continues up that way. So here we are. This is the bloody meadow. I mean, it's wide, open, and steep. So if you're a Lancastrians coming from over that hill there, coming down, being met by the Yorkists on the left here, constantly having to fight away uphill to try and gain the upper ground. And they have the upper ground rather. So then you end up having to be forced along the, I think there's a brook down there which leads to the Cockback River in the distance, which we'll be following on this route here, and we will be crossing it and when we finish the walk. Yeah, so I'm not sure if I covered this earlier, but I'll give you a quick recap of why we're here. So we're on a battlefield circular walk for the Battle of Towton, Towton, which was fought on the 29th of March 1461, 565 years ago. So I'm not going to go into a lot of depth. Why? Because A, I don't know it. But B, I think it's been probably covered extensively by others on YouTube and other history programs, so it's nothing new. So really, I just want to focus on the walk. But a quick recap, nevertheless, is that the battles fought between two armies: the House of York approaching from the north, and the House of Lancaster approaching from the south on the field that I just covered. The Yorkists were supporting the ascent of a self-appointed king, well, by parliamentary approval or appointment, Edward IV, and against the wishes of the incumbent king, which was Henry VI. Who was supported by the House of Lancaster, and well, that period is called the War of the Roses. It's really not my forte, to be honest. You know, anything from 1789 onwards is my forte, but certainly not that period beforehand. So yeah, that's basically it, and I will just now concentrate on the walk. Actually, this is a good vantage point here. Right down there would be the river. Yeah, so in this valley below, Lancastrians would have followed the river course towards the river crossing where we're going to end up being pursued by the Yorkists all across these grounds. Step. Yeah, I probably should have mentioned that the amount of combatants in this battle was 50,000. That's what is recorded. And out of that, I don't know how many actually perished or were injured, but I would have thought over a 10-hour period, a significant amount. Yeah, in very difficult conditions, bearing in mind it was a snowstorm, so bitter cold, and the last thing you want to do is end up in a river, getting wet, with all that heavy gear on. In a medieval period, it's not exactly, you're not exactly able to get warm and dry quickly, are you? So, especially not with the enemy chasing after you. So down there, somewhere, is a ford, which is a low-lying crossing, and Lancastrians would have aimed for that. Those who couldn't get across continued following the river, which is hidden amongst the trees down there, into that direction, and into those trees at the very bottom would be the bridge, which we have crossed before on this walk and with this video. And earlier on, I was talking about how many combatants there were and how many may have perished. Well, I've just read a information board, and they estimate it's anywhere between 3,000 and 36,000, and depending on which account you follow. Yes, at the end of the battlefield tour now. This gives you an indication of what it would have been like. Ah, utter hell. And so here we are at the end of the battlefield walk. I hope you enjoyed it. I've just arrived with the old London Road behind me and the entrance, or the entrance and the continuation of the old London Road down there, which would lead you back down to the bridge, which is covered in part 1 of the video. And according to Strava, I've been walking for 2 hours and 45 minutes, covered 12 kilometers so far. That's not the entire walk, though. That's not the entire walk of the battlefield. That also includes the London Road and a miscalculation For finding the London road, I had to retrace my steps, and I knew I should have looked at the map before I set off. But you know, I thought I know where it is, and I was kind of right. It's in that direction, and I went in that direction. Lo and behold, a farmer blocked the access. I had to retrace my steps. Cost me about 40 minutes. Anyway, it's time to head back to the accommodation, which is where I walked from. So add that into the calculation, and well, hopefully get back just in time for last orders for food. Thank you for watching, and hopefully you will join me on the next video. Thank you.